올해 뉴욕 증시 상승을 이끈 주역 바로 M7이죠. 엔비디아는 연초 대비 170% 폭등했고 테슬라도 연초 대비 80% 넘게 오르면서 투자자들에게 큰 흥분을 선사했습니다. 그렇다면 내년의 전망은 어떻게 될까요? 이 폭주, 질주를 내년에도 이어갈 수 있을지 월가 빅테크 최고 전문가인 댄 아이브스 웨드부시 증권 애널리스트를 모시고 내년 전망에 대한 이야기 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 이데일리에서 단독으로 준비했습니다. 바로 만나보시죠. Okay, hi Dan. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, especially when we're discussing something as exciting as the future of the big techs. Your last interview was a huge hit here in Korea. People absolutely loved it. Do you have any words for them?
Look, I would just say, I mean, it's our view, like, this is just the beginning. What I view as sort of year 3 of a 6 to 7 year bull cycle for tech. So to get out the popcorn, get the champagne for New Year's Eve, I think 2025 is going to be a bullish year for tech and Tesla.
Cool. So 2025 is just around the corner, and there's so much happening in the M7 space, plus Broadcom, and what some are now calling the Batman stock. So let's just dive right into the questions. The M7 has been a dominant force in the market. How do you see their performance shaping up as we head into 2025?
I mean, I think it's really been a Goldilocks scenario for tech because the AI revolution's played out. And you're starting to see it now spread, not just from Nvidia, but to cloud players, Microsoft, Google, Alphabet. And then, of course, what you see with, what I believe is probably one of the best AI plays out there, Tesla and autonomous. You combine that with Trump in the White House, it's a champagne moment, and it's a Goldilocks scenario for tech. We think tech stocks are still up another 25% into next year.
So it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to, but maybe a few things to be cautious about, like rising antitrust and privacy lawsuits around anti-competitive practices are becoming a key risk for major tech players like Amazon, Microsoft, Apple. So how significant do you think this risk is to the overall tech sector?
I think the bark's worse than the bite. I mean, look, Khan at the FTC, who's sort of been the whatever the horror show you want to pick, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, that's what she was to tech. She's gone at the FTC. I think under Trump, it's going to be more regulatory friendly toward tech, still some issues, but we continue to think that that's a contained risk relative to, maybe where it was pre-Trump getting into the White House.
So Trump is very friendly with these big tech companies, so it will be interesting to see how these companies navigate through this. Then switching gears to smaller tech names. If Trump rolls back regulation, it could boost small to mid-cap tech stocks as well. Are there any specific areas in this space you find particularly interesting?
Yeah, I think there's names like on the software side, names like Palantir, where the Messi of AI, I view them as probably one of the purest play AI names out there. Names like SoundHound is another AI derivative name that plays into it. And then I look at names like Snowflake, MongoDB.
Yeah.
You're going to have more of these software names coming to the AI revolution. We continue to view it. It's only 10 p.m. in the AI party. That goes to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And now software is invited to the dance floor.
As you mentioned Palantir, you've chosen Palantir as the next Oracle last time. What key investment points caught your attention here?
It's the best technology footprint out there when it comes to their algorithms. And I think when you think about AI revolutions by use cases, and that's what Palantir is doing and building out. Look, and some will say the stock's expensive. It's had such a huge run, clearly this year. I believe over the next, call it 5, 6, 7 years, this could be the next Oracle, in terms of where I see that. And that's why that continues to be one of our favorite names.
Cool. And you've previously also predicted that the NASDAQ could hit 25,000 within the next 12 to 18 months. Do you still stand by that outlook, or has anything changed?
Nothing changed. I mean, we talked about beginning of 2024, NASDAQ hitting 20,000. Obviously, that hit it. And I just think tech stocks are going to be up. Look, this is a tech universe, given what we see in the fourth industrial revolution. and a soft landing. You're going to have scares like the Fed. Do they go to slower pace in terms of cutting, geopolitical, tariffs? So we'll have some moments. But I believe ultimately by the end of 2025, we're looking at a NASDAQ that starts to approach 25,000.
So we're living in a tech universe. So let me just break that down a bit. There's a lot in there. Starting with Tesla, you've previously set a target price of $400, but now you're suggesting it could climb as high as $650 in a bullish way. What's driving this upgraded outlook?
Well, look, Trump, I mean, if you look at Musk, bet on Trump, it's a bet for the ages. I think it's a game changer. It's going to change the autonomous future. And look, autonomous is worth $1 trillion alone. That's key to the Tesla story long term. And that's why we're so bullish, because I believe this is just the start of the gold at the end of the rainbow. And I think a year from now, we're looking at probably something that could exceed 2 trillion.
Cool. Tesla always seems to surprise, so I'm also curious to see how this unfolds. But of course, there's also the policy angle. If Trump rolls back EV subsidies, how do you think it will affect Tesla's growth?
It's bullish. I mean, Musk wants the subsidies to come get away because that essentially evens the playing field. Now you look at no one has the scale and scope of Tesla, so it's just going to give them that much more of an advantage versus the Detroit Big Three. Obviously Hyundai that's coming to the U.S. market. They won't get those subsidies either. So the reality is for Tesla, it continues to be Tesla's world, and everyone else is paying rent.
Cool. Then if this actually plays to Tesla's advantage, then it will be fascinating to watch how they leverage it for even more growth. The positive outlook is clear, but should we be concerned about Tesla's high valuation? And it would be great if you could share some revenue projections to back it up.
Well, first of all, I mean, investors that have focused on just valuation, they've missed every transformational tech name in the last 20 years. From Meta to Apple to Amazon to Tesla and other. And so I just continue to say the bears sitting in their hibernation mode in their caves, they can't find AI in their spreadsheet. When I look at Tesla, some of the parts, autonomous being worth $1 trillion, you could be looking at a company that has $10, $15 of earnings power when you look out over the next 4, 5, 6 years.
Cool.
And I think that's sort of the way to view it. You have to look out to what this story looks like over the coming years. And that's why the bears that have missed the historic tech run over the last decade, they just can't find it in their spreadsheets.
Cool. Then now shifting to semiconductors, Nvidia has seen some recent pullbacks. Is this just profit taking after its long rally, or do you see a broader trend reversal here?
It's just profit taking. I mean, bottom line is the AI revolution is being led by Godfather of AI, Jensen Nvidia. This is a stock that I believe goes much higher into the next year. Demand to supply continues to be 15 to 1.
Cool.
But think about a quarter ago, right? Stocks going down. Everyone thinks it's going sub 100. Next thing you know, it makes all-time highs. Bottom line is this is just a small blip on a broader trend to what I see as a $4 trillion market cap.
So you remain bullish on Nvidia, but with recent partnerships between big tech and Broadcom, there's talk of a shift away from Nvidia. Should investors see this as a headwind for Nvidia?
Look, there's only one game in town right now. It's Nvidia. Now, when you look at Broadcom is clearly going to benefit, and they've obviously put up great numbers. But there's one pilot on this AI plane. It's Jensen and Nvidia. So I don't see that in any way. But look at AMD. I think AMD has actually gotten overly sold here. The point is there's going to be other winners. It's not mutually exclusive. But at the top of that mountain, in the Mount Rushmore of AI, is the Godfather of AI, Jensen.
So then if we just look at Broadcom itself, it recently crossed the $1 trillion market cap. Do you still think there's room for it, or is it nearing its peak?
No, we're bullish on Broadcom because I think that's it. Look, we talk about who are the second and third derivative beneficiaries of the AI revolution. Broadcom's one of them. I think Oracle is another one. And it just shows what's going to happen over the next year. We're going to see more and more of this as this 2 trillion of AI capex spreads.
Cool. So speaking of Broadcom then, let's talk about Apple, which is partnering with Broadcom to develop AI server chips. How do you think this collaboration will shape Apple's overall strategy?
They're going to own more and more of the supply chain. They're going to own more and more of the AI consumer revolution. And Apple, if you look what they're doing is, I mean, they're essentially building a vertical sort of infrastructure in front of our eyes in terms of what will eventually be their own AI chips. Right now, it all starts with Apple Intelligence. It's the building blocks of the consumer AI revolution. The reason the stock made all-time highs, I believe this is really, when I look at AI, I think it adds $40 to $50 per share to the story.
Then let's turn our attention to another major name in the tech world. Google recently unveiled its quantum chip Willow, creating a global buzz. In Korea, quantum computing related stocks are heating up as well. And the first US quantum technology ETF listed in Korea sold out in just 5 minutes. Do you think this marks the beginning of a full-fledged quantum technology rally?
I think next 3 years, quantum is going to reach feverish pitch because it's a real technology that's going to ramp. I think there's going to be ways to play it on the pure play, but I believe this is real because it's also, if you look at some of the technology breakthroughs we've seen with Google and with others, it's now starting to hit scale. And now that was the constraining issue in quantum if you look back the last few years, but now they've gotten past that scale piece.
Quantum computing feels like the next frontier for sure. You've predicted that Microsoft will join the $4 trillion club alongside Apple and Nvidia as well. But what's going on with the stock? It's like dramatically underperformed compared to the others and hasn't still hit a new high since the summer. What's holding it back?
It's a digestion period. I think it's investors also realizing Google, Amazon will also benefit from the AI revolution and the build out. But when you look at Microsoft, they continue to really own the lion's shares more and more on the enterprise, move toward AI workloads, move toward Copilot. And I think this is another look. Go back a few months ago, think about Alphabet. No one would own that stock. Now look at it today. Go back 2 years ago to Meta, same thing. The point is, a lot of times these stocks get mispriced, but those are the opportunities, as we've always handheld investors the last few decades.
Cool. For lastly, then both Amazon and Meta have been on impressive rallies recently. Do you see more upside ahead for these companies, or what's the case for their continued gains?
I mean, if there's a popcorn in the studio, get the popcorn ready. Because I think it's just the start of just a bigger run for Amazon and Meta. They are extremely well positioned when it comes to AI. I think Street's still underestimating the growth. And then when you look specifically at Meta, the advertising model is going to dramatically shift upwards because of AI. So that's the two names that we continue to view as core names to own into next year.
So we covered a lot about M7 today, now including Broadcom in the Batman lineup. If you had to name the one standout winner among them for 2025, who would it be and why?
It's Tesla because I think it's probably the best purest play AI name in the market. Between autonomous AI, robotics, Optimus, and Trump in the White House, the bromance between Trump and Musk, that's just, I think, really creating a very, very game-changing environment for Tesla. So that continues to sort of be what I view as the number one name, if there's one.
Okay, Tesla as the ultimate winner. What an exciting pick. Before we wrap up, I would like to get your thoughts on crypto industry as well.
I think also Trump getting in is hugely bullish for crypto. And I think this is, you could see things move around, but I mean, we could see ultimately Bitcoin, 150, 200K, that would not be out of the realm relative to where we could see this play out. And I think it's a risk on environment, but most importantly, the regulatory environment in DC, very, very bullish of crypto assets.
Okay, so if we compare with Bitcoin and altcoins, are you also bullish on altcoin industry as well?
I'm more of a Bitcoin bull relative to my view, even on Ethereum. you know, relative to some of the use cases. And that to me is probably continues to be the best way to play crypto.
Okay. Our last question is about Fed. What will they do next year?
Look, in terms of, I mean, Fed's probably going to cut 2-3 times. I mean, we'll call it maybe a little less dovish, but it's a soft landing. They're going to cut 100 bips the next, call it, you know, 18 months. And that's bullish environment. Any of these sell-offs that happen, just like we've seen over the last 2 years, they create the buying opportunity.
Okay, then thank you so much for joining us today
Thank
and
you.
sharing your expertise with us. I'm sure that our viewers in Korea will be just as excited as I am. We hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. 네, 댄 아이브스 전문가의 내년 전망도를 들어보니까 빨리 2025년이 오면 좋겠다라는 생각이 강하게 드는데요. 내년 1월 대선은 또 어떤 전망으로 우리를 설레게 해줄까요? 다음 달 월간 아이브스도 기대 많이 해주세요.